I understand what Jordan Love did at the end of last season. It was better than everybody else. He had the best second half of the season of any quarterback in the NFL. And then he goes on the road in his first playoff game and absolutely lights the world on fire. And by the world, I mean Hunter's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. And then the following week, they go to San Francisco. And outside of that really bad final throw, which was Favre-esque, he played a fine game. It was good enough to win up until that point. So we understand this guy is capable of winning the big games. In the national spotlight, by the way, last year, outside of that Monday Night Football blunder late in the season against the Giants, and after some of those other national games earlier in the year, Love was on fire. Think about Thanksgiving against the Lions, Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs, and the national game in Week 18 against the Bears. Like, he was awesome in the national spotlight at the end of the year. And well, obviously, hopefully that continues, and we hope that continues. But we don't know exactly what Jordan Love is yet. I don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL yet. I think I'm comfortable saying he's in the top dozen and probably even in the top 8 or 9. But the Love line is where I want Jordan Love to live consistently. That's kind of been my word of the offseason, consistency when it comes to Jordan Love in the 2024 season. So it's almost a rankings of sorts. If he plays above it, great. If he plays below it, yuck. That's kind of where I want to establish the Love line, Hunter. And I want to use quarterbacks where we understand consistently what they are. So, for example, quarterback 1 in this exercise is, of course, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of the modern era, outside of Tom Brady, just from a Super Bowl perspective. But when it comes to both the ability to win games and talent, nobody in the current league, or really as long as I've watched, is better than Patrick Mahomes. So he's 1. Love is obviously below Mahomes there. And if Love plays better than Mahomes, great, right? That's the example of this line. And the NFL is a very week-by-week product. But when we look at the consistency of Love, we want him under Mahomes. We don't want him under Mahomes, but you expect him under Mahomes. Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we want to just go through? I've got a list here from Pro Football Focus of they kind of rated all of the quarterbacks after the season was done and at least eliminate some of these guys who were like, yeah, they're probably all year going to be ahead of Jordan Love.
Yeah, let's just rifle through them, right? So, like, Burrow comes to mind next.
Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, and now I think this is where we start to get interesting.
Yep.
So then they have Justin Herbert at number 5.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, and then Dak is 6, Stafford 7, Aaron Rodgers 8, Jalen Hurts 9, CJ Stroud 10, and then they put Jordan Love at number 11, and he's the top quarterback for what they consider tier 4, and it's the melting pot of starters.
Who else is in that tier?
We've got Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Tua, as well as Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith.
Goff is in there.
And then rounding out that group of tier 4 is Caleb Williams.
I've always been referred to as kind of a Kyler Murray doubter. And Caleb Williams, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. I mean, look, we don't know if he's going to be Bryce Young or if he's going to be Peyton Manning, right? Like, we just have no idea. So some of the names on that list would be kind of my definitive, hey, he has to be better than them. Herbert is an interesting name.
I think most of the list.
Herbert is an interesting name to me, who I know is above him. Lawrence is obviously interesting. You assume there's going to be a bounce-back year of sorts for him. Stroud, you and I talked off the air, but we've said it on the air as well. It was like, those are 2 guys that I think are going to be tied together for a long time because they each had their coming out year the same year. Last year, obviously, it was the rookie year for Stroud. It was the first full year as a starter for Love. So they're tied together in one way or another. I want him to definitively be better than Jared Goff. Goff had a really good year last year. But if he's worse than Goff, I'm not panicking. So I'm not ready to set the line there. And again, if you want to look at the financial side of things, Goff is a $53.5 million quarterback. Rightfully so. So I don't know that I'm panicking. So where we define the line isn't necessarily where we rank Jordan Love. It's, hey, where do you get into, hey, this isn't good enough territory? Right? We're not ranking the quarterbacks. We're pretty much just dividing, hey, this is the bad area to live in, this is the good area to live in. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the line. I think Lawrence
because
is
he's
probably
not
above
good
the
enough.
line.
Oh, you think Lawrence
No, he's
is
probably above the line.
Okay, interesting.
Herbert's above the line.
Yeah.
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, they're all Jackson. They're above the line.
What about Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy. So statistically, I want Love to be better than Purdy because I think he's capable of more. But statistics don't equal wins either, right? Wins is not a quarterback stat. So I could use that against Purdy. Yeah, I want Love to be better than Purdy. But Purdy's probably going to be quarterbacking a 14-win team or a 13-win team this year. So would it bother me if Love statistically was a little bit below Purdy? Probably not. I think Purdy's probably underrated, if we use the word correctly. Like, he's probably not given enough credit for the 49ers' success. A name that comes to mind, Hunter, is Deshaun Watson. If he's healthy for a full 18 or 17 games, 18 weeks, you want Jordan Love outplaying Deshaun Watson, at least this version of Deshaun Watson. I don't know that you expect him to outplay 2018 Deshaun Watson, but 2024 Deshaun Watson, I would be nervous if Love is comparable to him.
Now, Pro Football Focus, I know we're not ranking the quarterbacks, but I've found this ranking and tier system just fascinating now. They have Deshaun Watson in their tier 5, which is can single-handedly win and lose games. And then they have him rated as the number 23 quarterback in the NFL. Ooh. With his cumulative passing grade at 58.7, which is bad for a quarterback.
I guess I don't know how is the ranking 1 to 100?
Well, I think the best you can be is a 100. But then that passing grade over the past 2 years ranks him 53rd among qualifying passers. So I don't know if I just don't think Deshaun Watson's it anymore. I know that sucks for any Cleveland fans, but he's not it. Like, I really think that the line is sitting at a Trevor Lawrence to Tua area, which is, again, like I've been saying, top third of the league. Like, if you finish up statistically every year for Jordan Love and he is top third of the NFL in passing numbers, like, I think you've hit and you're good. Anything below that, you're okay, this is bad.
Let's establish the two names, essentially, right? So the Love line, if you're in this, it's almost like selecting team captains. I guess for the line above him, it would be the worst quarterback or the least consistent quarterback or the least impressive quarterback above the line, and then the best quarterback below the line. I would say the best quarterback below the line should be Tua. I tend to agree with that. I think it's a guy he's tied to naturally, same draft class, high-powered offense, offensive-minded head coach. I think Tua is that first name below the line. If Jordan Love is dipping beneath Tua's play, that's where you should start to get concerned. I think the name above the line is the part where I'm struggling. Is it Justin Herbert? Is it C.J. Stroud?
Part of me almost wants to say Stroud.
I think you're right.
Because, Justin Herbert, unless things get fixed in L.A. this next year, I just don't know where he's actually at. So, putting him in with a question mark is hard.
I might have too much blind faith in Jim Harbaugh to go in there and fix it, but he really doesn't have any super impressive weapons. Let's say Stroud. So let's go. Stroud is above the Love line. Tua is beneath it. And that's essentially the worst area, right? Like the consistent area, the expectation area where you want Jordan Love to live. Now, again, it's a week-to-week game. So there are going to be weeks where Love looks a hell of a lot more like Patrick Mahomes than he does Tua. But there are going to be more weeks where he looks like maybe Brock Purdy, who I guess we would technically put below the line from a statistics standpoint, than C.J. Stroud, right? It's a week-by-week thing. But when we look at Jordan Love overall for the 2024 season, that's kind of the line I want him living in. Somewhere between Tua, and not even between Stroud, just right around Stroud and Tua. Because think about Tua, too, by the way, right? Like, Tua's in a really good situation. There's only one offense in the NFL constructed like the Miami Dolphins, and that is the Miami Dolphins. There are no offenses with that much speed and get up like Miami. When you've got A-Chain and Raheem Mostert, who I know is old, but still a really reliable back, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The pieces that are established around Tua are an amazing situation. So I think the name we talked about before with Jeff Darlington's comments is below the line. I would say Stroud is above the line. Love and Football says a couple things. Anyone could do what Purdy is doing. Jimmy G literally did it already. I don't think he was as consistent and as impressive as Brock Purdy has been. I don't think that's fair to Purdy. But you're right, he did get to a Super Bowl. Jimmy G did. So that part's fair. But I think Purdy is a little bit underrated from a national perspective. And then Herbert and Stroud is okay above the line, but do not say Trevor Lawrence. So Love and Football not sold on Trevor. I'm okay with that. I mean, Trevor was not impressive last year, but I do think in terms of potential, and look, potential is hope, and hope is not a strategy. I get that. Trevor Lawrence has the capabilities of being a top 10 NFL quarterback. I don't think I'd put him in there now. I'd put Love above Lawrence right now. But I think those are two guys that are similar in terms of, hey, where are the expectations for 2024?
You know, I almost think that Trevor Lawrence might end up being this generation's Eli Manning. He's going to have a season where he looks incredible, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is great. Like he's playing like Peyton Manning. And then he's going to have a season where he is the exact middle-of-the-road quarterback. He throws 25 touchdowns and 20 interceptions and, like, is just literally just like, okay, he is a net zero for the quarterbacking position, and he's middle of the road. And he's going to do that his entire career. And it sucks for him, but I think that's what he might be, especially given the way that people react to him. Like, he's probably just going to be middle-of-the-road quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair. Lawrence, you're referring to. I tend to agree. All right, that's the Love line. We'll keep an eye on that as the season gets going, because that's, of course, kind of how it can adjust, right? If Tua is way worse than we anticipate or Lawrence is way better than we anticipate, you know, there's ways to adjust it and look at it a little bit differently. But that's the Love line for now. Somewhere around the Stroud-Tua verse. And you hope he's better, right? You hope the line becomes between Mahomes and Burrow.